G'day everyone, welcome back to Milo's farm. I hope you managed to catch our last video, which was our bread making video. If you haven't, I'll link it down below. But today we're coming back to you from the kitchen. I posted a poll on my Instagram stories last week, just asking people what they were interested in, some ideas that I've got planned for the upcoming videos, and most of them will kind of be sort of inside ones, just because it's starting to get hot outside and we don't really have everything we need to finish off all the projects. But I will probably throw in a homestead update video in the mix to break up the kitchen stuff a little bit. But as a result of that poll, I asked people what they want me to do for the next video, and I put in there, you know, things that I always do at home, like with the bread. One of them was how I make my dogs food. I feed my dogs raw. And another one was brioche, making a brioche loaf. Another one was a garden update. And the other one was, meal prepping. So they all actually got relatively equal scores in the poll, which was fantastic. There's a lot of interest in all those different things. But the one that got the most interest was the raw dog food video. So today's video is all about raw feeding your dog and how you can do it at home for much cheaper than maybe, you know, elsewhere. So stick around if this is something that you are interested in and want to know more about. This video is going to be all about raw feeding your dog, how I go about it, what my combination of stuff is, and how you can achieve the same thing at home for your dogs. So luckily for you guys, there will also be an accompanying blog post and the recipe that I do. I did quite a lot of research about this when I decided to start raw feeding my dogs, and my sister helped a lot as well because she has a red-nosed pit bull, Layla, and she has been feeding her raw for a really long time. So I did ask my sister for help. She referred me to some great resources as well, but this is going to be all about how you can achieve making your own raw dog food at home. Obviously there's a lot of companies out there now that are doing it. It's called BAF, biologically available. So the term is BAF. If you search BAF or raw feeding, you'll find the two terms interchangeable. You'll find them all over the place online. There's a lot of companies that are doing it now. You know, you can have ones that are, you know, like chicken, poultry based, or beef and lamb, or game, which will be venison and kangaroo, that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of companies that do it. And, you know, if you wanted to, when you first, like if you're planning to switch your dog over to eating a raw food diet, if you wanted to switch your dog using one of those companies, feel free to. I never did. I just sort of made my concoction based on the research that I did myself. I've been raw feeding now since 2019. Oh, it was when Milo got sick. So 2019, we've been raw feeding, and our dogs have been just amazing. Super healthy, lean, no fat on them, very good skin, clear eyes, no dermatitis or, you know, contact allergies of any sort. Really good microbiome in their gut. Clean poos, healthy poos, you know, strong nails, all that kind of stuff, you know, clear vision, no behavioral problems, all that kind of stuff. So I absolutely love the benefits of raw feeding my dogs. When Milo got sick, Milo died from a genetic heart condition called dilated cardiomyopathy, which is prevalent in a lot of Dobermans and other dog breeds. It's you know, quite a nasty disease because it's one that can do so much fatal damage, but you can't see, you know, visually on the dog that they're not well. They look and can run around, you know, the same, but, you know, literally their heart could explode and they could die. So Milo was diagnosed with that in March 2019, and when he came out of hospital, after seeing the cardiologist, the vet that we saw recommended that we put him on a raw food diet. So that's what we did immediately, and I honestly truly believe, you know, a combination of the raw food plus the medicine, he was having you know, special medicine for his heart and all that kind of thing. We had him stay with us for an additional 9 months, you know, and we couldn't have asked for better because the cardiologist said he was like 10 out of 10, really bad case, 2 months tops, and he would pass away. So I honestly do believe that switching him to a raw food diet really did help just add a little bit more, you know, nutritional value to his body and just give him a little bit more power to fight in his sort of last few months. And I'm an advocate for it since. So obviously there's pros and cons to it. You know, you have to be really careful that, you know, you still keep on top of your worming regime for your dogs, and that you do get clean meat. If you hunt your own meat, make sure that you do follow normal processes that you would to ensure that that food is edible, that meat is edible. Like, don't give your dogs spoiled meat. So what I'm going to do today is show you what my little recipe is, and how I put it together. It's very, very easy and very quick and very simple. So off camera, because I have a huge amount of filming to do this week, I'm doing the meal prep videos plus the raw dog food videos. I've already started off with two of the things that I normally do. So I do add sweet potato. So I've steamed this sweet potato in my pressure cooker. There's about 2 kilos here. I was lucky to find these really small ones. I'll just hand mash them as I mix them in. So I just steamed them, don't put any seasonings or flavorings in them. I do add brown rice to mine just to fill it out a little bit. I feed 3 dogs raw. Prior to, you know, all this inflation, yada, 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 it used to cost $50 to feed 3 dogs raw food. It has now gone up to over $100 a week. But, you know, we don't just give them that. We do also supplement with a little bit of kibble to try and lengthen it out. My dogs get a working dog kibble that's an Australian made working dog kibble, and I do add extra veggies and just a little bit of brown rice in there for the low GI effect, and to give them a little bit of that good sustained burst of energy, because I've got 2 working dogs and a staffy and they all like to run around and be crazy. So off camera I've already prepared this. I've done 1 kilo of brown rice and about 2 kilos of sweet potatoes. I've also got organ meats here. So I've just been grabbing these from Woolies. They've been the easiest to get. I haven't been able to get a butcher. I've tried several different butchers locally to see whether or not they can sort of give me this in bulk, but I've never been able to find them in bulk. And the other thing is sometimes the butchers locally anyway, they do have offal and organ meat, but they're frozen, and sometimes I'm in a bit of a rush and I need to maybe whip up a quick batch of food, you know, because I've run out or whatever, or I'm trying to pre-plan for the next week, and I need it to be fresh. So that's kind of why I've stuck with Woolies. These containers I reuse. I've got a gazillion of them in the corner. I reuse and I put their food, their made food, back in there. So that's an advantage, and I use them for other stuff. So they definitely don't get wasted or thrown away, they get reused. So here I've got chicken hearts. I have chicken giblets in there, and I've also got chicken livers. Now, the proportion of organ meat that you use should be 7 to 10%. I'll actually put up a bit of a slide or a picture in the coming sort of section, just showing you what the breakup should be of fat, protein, carbs, organ meat, bone. I stick to chicken organ meat for one specific reason. Number one, they do get a kangaroo mince in their food. And kangaroo, if you don't know, if you're not an Aussie, stinks like all hell in terms of on the body. If you eat kangaroo or if you consume kangaroo a lot, which a lot of bodybuilders do, and people that are in the fitness industry, there's a thing known as kangaroo farts, and they're not very good. It's very, very strong smelling. So the thing I find with adding beef and lamb to dog food is it comes up in their skin and it just gives them this awful smell, and I can't stand that smell. So I only have the kangaroo meat in there. That's sort of that like gamey, really strong thing, and I try and stick with chicken for the rest, just because I personally don't like that smell that goes into the dog's skin and on their body when they've been consuming raw. So we've got all the organ meats. Now bones, I used to add chicken wings and chicken nibblies to them as well, but I just found with the Dobermans, they don't chew, they swallow the whole thing and then they bring it up and it's just this whole thing. So what I've been doing instead is giving bones separately, bigger bones with some marrow to encourage that. So instead of adding it to the food, which we used to do, we add it to marrow. But I used to also add chicken necks. That's another awesome thing that you can give in, and that fits in containers if you need to, because it's relatively small size. So then I use this mince. This is a kangaroo mince. It has added thiamine and taurine. When Milo got sick and came out of hospital, the vet that recommended we put him on a raw food diet said taurine and thiamine were essential for heart health. So he supported the use of this kangaroo mince. It's a pet mince, so that's why we use it. And at the moment, I've just grabbed a couple of these fresh sausages just to add a little bit more meat, because as I said, I've got 3 dogs to feed and they get very hungry. So that's basically what my mix is. Oh, and I do add one of these little bags. It's dripping of veggies. Veggies are sort of like 5% or something that you need to add. My dogs love vegetables, that's why I add vegetables, but you don't have to add vegetables at all to your raw food diet. If you do decide to raw feed, you can also add some fruit and veggies fresh, you know, when you're serving up the food. As I said, my dogs love veggies, so they get veggies all the time as a snack, as a topper to their food. In their food, they love, 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 love it. So yeah, so now that you know what I kind of put in and some of the proportions, we're gonna get to starting to assemble it and put it together. The other thing I forgot to add is a flexi tub. Grab yourself one of these flexi tubs. They're fantastic, super flexible. You can rinse them out really, really easily, and it's also good, like I let my dogs lick it out. It's good for them to get their head in there and learn about having things around their head and not getting scared about it. So grab one of those if you're inclined to do so. Let's start putting everything together. The only thing that I have to cut is the sausage and the livers. So I'll start putting in everything else, and then I'll show you what it looks like when we get to that point. Now you'll have to excuse me. I know this isn't ideal, but this house has a very, very, very small kitchen. Very small kitchen. And it's challenging to do anything in it. I mean, I get that, you know, not everything's going to work out all the time how I want it to, but I've just found since we've moved back here, it can be challenging sometimes to film some of the stuff that I want to, especially when it comes to cooking related stuff, because I've constantly got to maneuver around. I didn't have to do that at the other house because I had a sort of like an L-shaped kitchen, and so I could put the camera away and stand away, and you know, it looked like, you know, decent. But now I've got this tiny little galley kitchen and trying to put everything here all at once. It's a bit wild. So I start adding all these hearts, giblets, and then I add the mince, and then I do a good mix of it. Once I mix it, liver, heart, and heart. Okay. Once I mix it, then I can kind of see if there's anything missing or if I need to add something else. But generally I find this works. So there's a few reasons why you need different ratios of different meats. For example, if you notice that on your dog's poo, because you know you should be checking your dog's poo, buddy, don't touch. If you convert to a raw feeding diet and you start noticing, for example, that their poo is very, very white, that means you've got too much bone in your mix. Conversely, if you notice that their poo is too black or very, very dark, there's too much iron, which means you might have too much organ meat in there for their body to process, and they're just basically eliminating it. So that's why it's important to get the ratio. And look, there's a lot of articles and stuff online. I need a rubbish bag. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff online. Like there's a lot of research that you can do and find different, you know, combos, and people that are actually like canine dietitians and that kind of stuff that explain, you know, the physiological requirements and aspects of why having the mix of food is there. For example, in this mix, in the actual meat mix, I don't add any fat. But when I do give them their food, I give them a fresh egg, and I also give them sardines or fresh salmon or tuna. I generally tend to go salmon or mackerel, to be brutally honest. Tuna I'm a bit funny with. I I don't buy a lot of tuna, and I don't mean tin tuna. I mean like a fillet, like a piece of tuna. So I tend to do, you know, generally that kind of stuff. Or even, you know, like never, if you don't like the skins of your salmon, if you like cooking salmon, but you don't like to eat the skins, keep that, squirrel that away. Oh, that's a big bird. Squirrel that away in your freezer when you're ready to do your next batch, and use it in your dog food. Dogs love it. So yeah, so at the moment I'm just going to mix all this up. These veggies are from the frozen section. So I've just got beans, what have we got here? Beans, cauliflower, carrot, and a bit of corn. Put this rice in. And again, you don't have to add rice. Like if you don't want rice for whatever reason, you don't have to add rice. This is hard for me to do. It's also something that you can add later. If you don't want to sort of prepare it like this. So I prepared this a while ago so that I could sort of cool down. I'm just going to quickly hand mix it. See what my ratios look like. Break up the rice. This is only one bag too, yeah. I've still got sausage and... So adding all this cold stuff has helped cool off the rice a little bit more anyway. But I'll show you now what that looks like. Actually, I'll add this first, and then I'll show you. And this doesn't take long. It used to take us a really long time when we used to use plastic bags, like those little plastic bags. That would take forever. And come on. Now it doesn't take us as long because we're using these plastic containers. So I definitely think it's the way to go. And plus it's reusable. And you can put other stuff in there, so yeah. Alrighty, let me show you what this looks like. Okay, so that's a preliminary mix. You can see how there's sort of equal proportions of veggies, organ meat, mince, and rice. So there needs to be more meat than that. So I've just added another bag, and I've still got to add sausage, and I've still got to add livers into this. Also adding the sweet potato. Again, with the sweet potato, I don't take the skin off. I think that the skin is good. Just make sure you wash it properly, you know, before, because your dogs are going to eat it. Try and use organic if you can afford to, because, you know, just like, you know, it's better for us to eat organic food, you know, it's better for your dogs to eat organic food as well. And try and give them the best quality that you can afford. I mean, obviously, if you can't afford organic, you know, then you can't afford organic. You know, it's still good that you're feeding your dog, you know, a raw meal. But, you know, oftentimes, especially these days, I mean, especially those of us homesteaders living out on property, you know, we've either got our own garden going or we have friends with garden and they'll have heaps of leftovers. So it's always a good idea to, you know, if anyone's selling pumpkins for cheap or sweet potatoes, grab them, puree them, cook them up, put them in your freezer until you need to use them, because, you know, this will just be amazing. All right, we're now on the other side of the bench, which is so hard to see because, as I said, this kitchen is so tiny. So this is a chicken liver. I have no issue with chopping this up. I know some people can be a bit squeamish about it. So just chop this up roughly. It doesn't need to be fine. Eventually, once we get our freeze dryer back up again, we've got a freeze dryer, but we just moved here and then we don't really have anywhere to run it at this point in time. So once we get our barn built, you know, we'll probably put it in there. But anyway, when we get our freeze dryer up, I may actually go to the effort of pureeing some of the organ meats, particularly the liver, and adding it in as, see these little, I don't know what these bits are, these like little gems. Cook loves those. Because because it's just a little bit easier than to add it in as a powder. Yeah, baby, Mama's going to give you a nice piece that you love. Yeah. So yeah, I don't put much stock into how I chop this. I just chop it. Just get it up there. If you do see, I mean, they're pretty clean. These ones from Woolies, they're pretty clean, but sometimes you might see this little green thing. I think that's the, oh gosh, what's it called? I think it has to do with like a bile duct or something. Here, baby. Yum, yum. Don't add that into the food. That's sort of chicken waste. All right, give me a sec. Okay. Oh, see this one? Look at this one. This one's still got, maybe, I think it's an esophagus or something here. See these little round things? Cook loves them. So I'll keep that in there. I don't know what that is, but I don't think it's anything bad. These little nugget things, I take them out, give them to Cook as a treat. Mish used to love them too. So yeah, just chop, chop, chop as best you can. That green thing that I said, if it's on, you'll see it kind of along here. It'll be this green, disgusting thing. Make sure it doesn't burst. Like if it's on there, kind of just cut around the piece as best you can, because it's not good. But this is so healthy for your dogs. So, so good. Just the same way that they talk about, you know, sort of paleo, hunter-gatherer type of diets for us humans is basically what this is for dogs, you know, like think, you know, many years ago, even, you know, before, well, during the time that dogs were domesticated, but even before then, you know, they didn't get kibble, they didn't get science diet, they didn't get, you know, all that stuff. And I get that, you know, there's a time and a place for that kind of stuff, you know, but I also am of the belief that if you stay as natural as possible and try and eat as clean as possible, and hey baby, and you know, do that kind of stuff as best as you can, woo, you're going to be super healthy and your dogs are going to be super healthy. Yeah, it does look like a little bit of a massacre here at the moment. But this was not intended to be a massively huge video. But I did want to get it out because I've had, every time I post anything on my social media about how I'm preparing food for the dogs, I get a lot of inquiries. So I just wanted to kind of do that. Oh, here's another little nugget thing. But yeah, if you are thinking of transferring your dog over to a raw food diet, it's a good idea to make sure you do all your research. Make sure you understand like what nutritional requirements they might need. You know, like if they're working dogs, they might need a diet that has a little bit more protein and fat and less carbs, or carbs that are slow release. I've got 2 working dogs and a Staffy, who's not a working dog, she's just a family dog. But Staffy's as well, you know, she's short and stocky, so I don't want her to be carrying excess weight so that she can't run around and, you know, has those kinds of issues, you know, in her bones and that kind of stuff. So this is why I feed all the dogs the same food. Alright, that's done. Alrighty, we are almost at the tail end. Actually, I need a bigger knife. I don't like using knives that are too small. Alrighty. Now, as I said, I just add this sausage. It's not needed. It's not recommended. I just like to have a little bit of extra meat in there. Ideally, once we get onto our big farm, our intention was always to be able to hunt on our own land and source kangaroos and wild boar and that kind of stuff for our dogs. So that would be ideal. And in those cases I would be supplying fur. I would leave fur and skin on and that kind of stuff as well, because that's the kind of stuff that's good for dogs as well. My sister does. My sister actually gives her dog rabbit feet, rabbit tails with the hair on, and she's superb. She was older than me. I think she's about 14 years old now. She's not well now. She's sort of in her last days. Lovely Layla, my sister's protector, but yeah, she, touch wood, has never ever been unwell, never needed the vet, never needed anything, and that's all because she was fed a raw diet from her puppy days. Alright, give me 2 secs. And I mean, you know, the same, I said this when we did the bread making video. And I showed everyone my process of what I do for making bread, and you know, I sort of said, like, there's no way that anyone can say they're too busy. I mean, I work full time. I manage everything on the homestead. I do all the training for the dogs and the horse. I haven't been able to ride him a lot this year, but generally I'm the one that's doing all the riding of the horse and everything. My husband does everything outside, all the maintenance, looking after water tanks, fence lines, you know, building stuff, putting things together. I'm the one that does the garden, the shopping, the pantry stockpiling, the cooking, like I do everything, all the care stuff, all the homemaker stuff. That's what I do. And you can't tell me, doesn't matter how busy you are, you can't tell me that you can't spend a few moments a day cooking food from scratch or preparing food like this for your dogs, you know. I do this with love. Yeah, sometimes I think, oh God, I can't be bothered today, I'm tired. But, you know, it also makes me accountable, because if I don't do this, my dogs are not going to eat. And I am absolutely not going to give my dogs shit to eat under any circumstance. So I made a batch last week, and I didn't have all the ingredients, which is why today I doubled up a little bit. And that's been happening a little bit since this whole sort of inflation thing. I noticed that when people can't afford to buy regular meat, they go back to organ meats. And if you remember back in the day, you know, during the Depression and during World War II and those times, it was quite normal for organ meats to be in diets. Like my parents, still to this day, will make this dish with chicken livers and onion, and they absolutely love it. I love the smell of it, I don't like the taste. But it, you know, organ meat is so good for you. Whew, goodness gracious me. A lot of meat to cut up. You know, so as much as it's our responsibility to feed ourselves healthy and not eat junk food and Maccas and, you know, KFC and all that stuff, we've got to do the same for our dogs. If you want your dogs to live healthy, long lives, then you need to feed them properly. So again, use of this kind of a fresh sausage is optional. I only use it if I do need a bit of a filler, like just, not filler, but to add a little bit more. But as I said, my dogs do get fresh egg every day. They also get fish. They get more fruit and veggies. They get bananas. They get blueberries, rock melon, apples, carrots, strawberries. They get all sorts of fruit. Every day they get a little bit of fruit as part of their snack. And you can see my dogs, if you follow me on social media, I post quite a lot about them because I do so much with them and I'm always with them. But my dogs are lean, fast, agile, not fat at all, and pretty healthy. also just think it's, you know, it's wrong to rely. I think that's where there's so many issues. People just generally rely on others, you know, to live their life. I don't know. It's hard to kind of articulate what I'm trying to say, but you know, I'm kind of one of those people, like, you know, if you ask for something or you want something or whatever and someone says no to you, go ask someone else, you know. Don't just be like, oh, that person said no, so that's the end of it. My dream or this activity that I really want to do is now finished forever and I can never ever do it. What's that saying? When one door closes, another one opens. You know, I tend to kind of think of that in a little bit bigger terms, you know. I suppose that's why I like homesteading and why I've always been drawn to homesteading, because I don't like people telling me what to do, and I don't like being at the mercy of anyone. I don't like not having the freedom to make choices for myself. So if I make my own food, grow my own veggies, raise my own meat, I'm in control. I'm in control of what I eat, I'm in control of what I feed my family, I'm in control with, you know, whether or not I'm going to spray, have pesticides on my land. All of that plays a part. And the same applies to why I make my dogs dog food. So we're not far from coming to the end. Oh, I can't move this. So I'm going to start mixing. Oh, bugger. Heaps in here. So this is a little bit challenging for me to do at the moment because I actually have a ganglion cyst on my wrist and I've been instructed to wear a splint full time for the next month. But I mean, I can't wear this thing, this splint, when I need to mix this food. And there's just no way that you can mix this with a wooden spoon. You have to get your hands dirty. I don't mind handling meat. I know some people are irked by it, they get put off. So if you're one of those people that like wants to do this but you know you're going to get put off, maybe make smaller batches so that you can use a wooden spoon or some kind of a spoon. But I just dig right in and mix it. That looks really good. Woo! Make sure you go right down the bottom. This is why it's good to mix in little batches, because you can mix everything up really, really well. I don't know if you can see it. That is filled up to there. Oh, you can't see. I'll show you in a tick what this looks like. Let me just wash my hands. Now look at that. See how well that's mixed? You've got a bit of rice, you can see a mixture of veggies, hearts, a little bit of sausage, mince, giblets, liver, lots of yummy things. The dogs love it. And as I said, my dogs, a bit heavy, my dogs love this, love this. I do give them, as I said, I supplement with a working dog kibble. I use Black Hawk working dog. There's a few other different ones. I just saw actually today one of the New Zealand ones, Wild something or other. A fantastic brand, really, really clean ingredient deck. They've recently launched in Australia, but they're very expensive, so just be mindful of that. But you don't give a lot of kibble, like I only sort of give like a cup, like a half cup to a cup, depends. Like Mando gets a cup at the moment because he's growing, but the girls, they don't need that much, so they're sort of getting half a cup. But when I serve a portion to the dogs, they get a little bit of kibble. The high protein one with good fat, the Black Hawk working dog has emu fat, emu oil in there as well, so it's really, really good for skin, teeth, bones, that kind of stuff. I give a portion of this, I add an egg. Now there's some conjecture about whether you should use a fresh egg or a cooked egg. It's up to you. My dogs eat both fresh and cooked eggs. If I do cook an egg, I just scramble it like for them, just with a tiny little bit of oil on a pan, just scramble it and add that. But you know, I don't need to. I think the issue is about if there's any salmonella in the eggs. Obviously you don't want your dogs to get salmonella, but whether or not it's a store-bought egg or your own chicken eggs, if you're not storing it correctly, you're going to potentially get salmonella. So you know, that's a risk that you kind of need to weigh up as to whether or not you're willing to give them raw eggs or not. I give my dog raw eggs and they're fine. And then I also give an additional sort of high omega fat, like a fish, so salmon, mackerel, something really fatty. That's really, really good for them. If I have access to clean lard, so when I get my beast from Paleo Beef Direct, I often order fat as well in addition to that, and I will render that down and just give them a smidge in there, or you can add coconut oil. That's another really good fat to add in their food. And then I also add fresh fruits and veggies. So I'll give them a little bit of extra carrot in the morning, or some apple, blueberries, you know, that kind of stuff. And that keeps them going. It gives them good energy. You know, they're not lethargic. They sleep well still during the day, but they can go and run and play and chase each other, you know, for as long as they need to. And it's fantastic and it's cost efficient. So this batch cost, I got a lot of things on special. The meat was $100, probably $110 or so. This should last my dogs 3 weeks. The working dog kibble that I feed them is normally $190. If you can get it on special for less than $150, perfect. I just got a bag today for $142, and that lasts also sort of 3-4 weeks. So when you think about it, oh excuse me, when you think about it, and veggies I don't count because I don't necessarily buy the veggies separate for them. I buy the same amount of fruit and veg for us, and I just give them, you know, we just share our portions with them. So when you think about it, you know, it's still relatively cost effective. Like, you can feed your dogs, you know, you can have them fed for, you know, significantly close to cost of what you'd feed them for with, you know, produced foods. And think about it, when you're buying produced foods from another person, you're also paying for their time, their electricity, their packaging, their marketing, you know, their staff costs, you know, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. Every single business does that. But if you do want to transition your dogs to raw and you do want it to be a cost-effective way, this is the way to do it. I know that in the homesteading group that I'm part of, the Australian Homesteaders group, there's a lot of people that are getting, you know, that are butchering their own meat and saving all the offal and organ meat for dog food. There's people that are hunting and specifically doing, you know, what they can in terms of hunting meat for their dogs. That's something that we're planning on doing with wild boar, venison and kangaroo. But there's also some people that just have a really good butcher in town where they're getting things for a couple of bucks a kilo. So you need to make it work for you. You know, if you want to transition to using raw dog food and you're sort of like, look, I don't trust myself, or I'm a little bit unsure about making it myself, buy one of the foods. You know, buy it for a month, transition your dog slowly. So do it like a quarter at a time. That's how I did for my dog. So I put in a quarter and, you know, moved a quarter out of the dry food, and I did that over sort of 3-4 days. And when their tummies were 100%, then, you know, moved it to a half, and, you know, I did it over about 3 weeks. It took them about 3 weeks to transition. The other thing, sorry, oh, that's what I was going to say. The other thing that you need to do is add in a probiotic or a raw food supplement. I add in both. This is the one that I use. It's by a company called Belinda's Amazing Minerals. This is not sponsored at all, but I use BAM Plus for moose, and it is so, so good. It has everything in it, and the lady, Belinda, who owns the company, she's actually an equine and canine nutritionist and dietitian. So my vet actually came out last week to give Moose his shots, and I was talking to her about Mando and something about him eating rocks or whatever, and I showed her this and I said, look, you know, is this good for them, because that's what I've been giving them. She's like, it's brilliant, it's really high quality. So this is a raw dog food supplement. It has everything in it. It's got vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, prebiotics, herbs. You can use it for dogs, cats, puppies, kittens, breeding animals, racing dogs, working and show dogs. It's got vitamin A, D3, E, B1, B2, B6, B12, calcium, biotin, folic acid, niacin, choline, chloride, iron, manganese, zinc, copper, iodine, selenium, parsley, diamond VXPC, absorbic acid, which is vitamin C, omega-3 powder, and grapeseed extract. So it's got a lot of good stuff. I also put a little tablespoon, I've got like a little tablespoon measure in their foods every day. And the other probiotic that I've been using, the gut health one, this is a company I've recently started using. Again, this is not sponsored, this is just what I use. It's Australian Pet Organics. They have this amazing set of like little treats that you can give your dog. Breakfast, they've got different things, you know, that's whether it's digestive health or bone health or skin or whatever. I get the digestive health package because I, you know, raw feed my dog, so that's most important. And just the same as our gut microbiome needs to be, you know, all the flora and fauna in our gut microbiome needs to be, you know, well balanced in order for us to not be unwell and get allergies and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Same with our dogs. So I kind of think that if their stomach is good and their flora and fauna in their stomach is good, then they will be good. So that's the two things that I use. Alrighty, now for the fun part. So now I'm just going to fill these containers to the top. These are half a litre size. I'll show you how I fill them. You don't want to fill them too much because obviously you're putting them in the freezer, right? And they will swell because of the water content in the meat. But I fill them like that. So again, these are 500 ml. Pop a lid on, and one of these containers is breakfast for 3 dogs. I know it seems insane, but it's not. So this is going to take me a while to do. In terms of when I started doing this, in terms of like filming for the video and that, this has taken me about 45 minutes, which is not bad, you know, when you think about it. How long does it take you to do any chore that you need to, you know, whether it's feeding your chickens or cleaning stalls or doing the washing or whatever it might be, hanging, washing, folding stuff. If you add this in your rotation of chores, not only will you make it easier on yourself to do, but you'll also save some money, and you'll make sure that your dogs are super healthy. Now, if you are concerned, check with your vet. Just like, you know, any kind of diet, you know, you'll have people that say, you've got to do keto, you've got to do paleo, you've got to do Mediterranean, you've got to do vegan, you've got to do vegetarian, you've got to do carnivore, you know, and yeah, all different ways of eating will benefit different people in different ways. You know, none of our bodies are the same, none of our, you know, physiology is the same. So yeah, you can have 2 people and one does keto and one does carnivore and one eats normally, and you know, they'll have the exact same impacts on their body. So, you know, some vets agree, some vets don't agree with feeding a raw diet. You know, it's up to you whether or not you want to talk to your vet about it. They know your dog, they went to vet school, you know, they know all that kind of stuff. So if you know, need to take their advice and talk to them about it, go ahead, do it. But you know, as I said, when Milo got sick, the cardiologist recommended we move to a raw diet. The vet we took him to after that recommended we move Milo to a raw diet. And then 3 other vets that I've spoken with since over the last 3 years, whenever I've spoken about what I feed my dogs, they've all supported it. And I keep up with regular worming and flea that I do myself, and my dogs are super healthy and fine. Enough talking though. I need to keep packing. As you can see, dog's licking the bowl. They love it. All right, let's see what we got. This is 1 stack. This is another stack. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 and a half days from that. So we've got 16 and a half from that lot of meat that I put together today. That's 16 and a half days, so just over 2 weeks. Plus I still have 3 days left in the freezer. So I've actually got more like 19 to 20 days of food. So that is brilliant and a stellar effort. Again, I will link the amounts in terms of weight and what it cost me as of today, and average it out, and I'll leave that all in the blog of how much it cost overall. So I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope that was something useful for you. I know it's a little bit hard to kind of see what I'm doing with the shape of this kitchen. I can't really have the camera going in front of me all the time and just work. I've always got to maneuver it around, but we're getting there. We're still producing the videos. So I hope you liked it. I hope you got something useful out of it. If this is something you're interested in doing, please make sure you do all your research. You know, reach out if you've got any questions. I'll answer them as best as I can. I'll try and put a couple of links down in the description below of resources that are useful to me and that have been useful to me, or in the blog post. If you don't see them below, they'll be in the blog post. And talk to your vet if you're really that concerned, or you want to make the switch but you're not confident. Talk to your vet and see what they say. And you know, again, you know, just because they might say no or they might say yes, still do your own research and see what you're most comfortable with. So I hope that was of value. Please keep an eye out. We're going to be rolling out so many more videos in the next few weeks. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, like, follow, share, all that stuff. Catch us on Instagram. We're very, very active on Instagram, probably more so than Facebook. We do lots of reels and post regular pictures and stuff of what's going on Milo's farm. So yeah, we'll see you next time.